Get this woman out of here before she humiliates everyone. The words cracked across the ballroom of the Chicago Art Institute charity gala, sharp enough to stop nearby conversations. Victoria Whitmore stood in front of a young black woman wearing a simple black dress, her hand still gripping the woman's arm after shoving her backward. The woman stumbled against a champagne table but steadied herself before the glasses could fall. Phones lifted instantly. The Whitmore family loved an audience. Victoria's son Liam raised his phone with a grin and began recording. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said loudly for his viewers, "we've got a gala crasher tonight." His sister Isabella stepped forward and snatched the invitation from the woman's hand. She examined it for half a second before laughing. "This is adorable," Isabella said. "She even printed a fake ticket." Then she ripped it straight down the middle. The sound of tearing paper echoed across the marble floor. 200 wealthy guests turned toward the commotion, forming a loose circle as the torn pieces drifted down like confetti. The woman did not shout. She did not beg. Instead, she calmly bent down and began collecting the pieces. That quiet composure made the humiliation feel even crueler. Victoria folded her arms. "Some people don't understand the meaning of exclusive," she said. A few guests laughed. Others looked uncomfortable but stayed silent. Liam tilted his phone closer to the woman's face. "Internet loves moments like this," he said. "Reality check in real time." Isabella had already switched to livestream. Her comments were flooding in. "Who let her in? Remove her. This is embarrassing." The woman finally stood again, holding the torn invitation pieces in her hand. She wore no diamonds, no designer logos. Just that simple black dress and an expression so calm it unsettled people who expected tears. Head of security, Daniel Ruiz, approached slowly, clearly wishing he were somewhere else. "Ma'am," he said gently, "I'm going to need to verify your credentials." Victoria immediately cut him off. "Oh, please, Daniel," she said. "The evidence is on the floor." Liam laughed into his phone. "Security still hasn't kicked her out yet," he told his viewers. The woman's phone buzzed inside her clutch, then again, and again. For a moment the screen lit up long enough for several guests to see the contact name, Dad. She ignored the call. Isabella shook her head dramatically for the live stream. "Denial stage," she said. The crowd tightened around them, curiosity turning into entertainment. That is how cruelty grows in rooms like this. Not through loud villains, but through quiet spectators. Ruiz tried once more. "Miss, if you could just come with me privately." "No," Victoria interrupted sharply. "If she caused a scene publicly, she can leave publicly." The woman looked at Ruiz for a moment. Then she looked around at the circle of phones pointed at her. Finally, she reached into her clutch and took out her phone. This time she answered. Her voice was calm enough to freeze the room. "Hi, Dad. I think you should hear what the Whitmore family thinks about our foundation." The words carried across the marble hall. Several guests immediately turned their heads. The museum director, Dr. Helen Grant, was standing nearby with a tablet in her hands. She began scanning the donor list connected to the torn invitation. The Harper Foundation, $100,000 platinum sponsor. Founder, Robert Harper, CEO of Harper Technologies. Dr. Grant looked up slowly, her face draining of color. "Oh my God," she whispered. Across the room, Edward Whitmore pushed through the crowd. He had been trying to stay out of the spectacle until now, but his phone had been buzzing nonstop. When he heard the name Harper, his stomach dropped. Robert Harper was the billionaire whose company planned to sign a $600 million joint venture with Whitmore Industries the next morning. The deal that would save his collapsing corporation. The woman continued speaking calmly into the phone. "They tore up the invitation," she said. "They called it fake." Liam's smile vanished. Isabella abruptly ended her live stream, too late. Thousands had already seen everything. Guests began whispering. Some pulled out their phones to search the name Harper. Others stared at the woman as if seeing her for the first time. Edward stepped forward quickly. "Miss Harper," he said carefully, "there has been a misunderstanding." She lowered the phone and looked at him. "A misunderstanding would mean you didn't know what you were doing." The silence that followed was suffocating. Then she returned the phone to her ear. "He's 3 minutes away," she said. 3 minutes felt like an hour. Nobody left. Nobody spoke. Every person in the room wanted to see how this would end. When the Grand Museum doors finally opened, Robert Harper walked inside with the calm presence of a man who knew the room would move for him. Tall, impeccably dressed, two attorneys walking behind him, his eyes immediately found his daughter. "Avery," he said quietly, "are you all right?" She nodded. "I'm fine, Dad." Then he turned toward the Whitmore family. Edward tried to speak first. "Robert, please." Robert raised a hand. "No." His assistant stepped forward holding a tablet. Her tone was professional and cold. "Liam Whitmore posted 2 videos tonight mocking Miss Harper," she said. "Combined views already exceeding 300,000, she scrolled. "Isabella Whitmore livestreamed the incident to 40,000 followers." Another swipe. "Victoria Whitmore destroyed a verified event invitation and demanded security remove the guest." The crowd listened in stunned silence. Edward's voice cracked. "It was a mistake." Robert looked at him steadily. "No," he said, "it was a choice." He paused, then spoke again. "Tomorrow morning we were scheduled to sign a $600 million partnership." Edward's face turned pale. "Without that deal," Robert continued, "Whitmore Industries has about 70 days before bankruptcy." Nobody laughed now. Liam looked like he might faint. Isabella stared at the floor. Victoria finally spoke in a small voice. "We didn't know who she was," Robert answered instantly. "That's exactly the problem." He glanced toward his daughter. Avery stepped forward quietly. "Wait," she said. Everyone turned toward her. "They should face consequences," she continued. "But destroying them won't change anything." Robert studied her. She spoke clearly enough for the entire ballroom to hear. "They issue a public apology tonight. Whitmore Industries funds a $10 million anti-discrimination initiative. Their board undergoes mandatory bias training, and the partnership continues on probation." Edward nodded immediately. "Yes," he said, "we accept." Robert looked at him for a long moment. Finally, he nodded once. "You have 18 hours to prove you mean it." He turned and offered his arm to his daughter. As they walked toward the exit, the crowd parted in silence. Phones were still recording, but the tone had changed. No one was laughing anymore. 6 months later, the same Chicago museum hosted the Corporate Responsibility Summit. Whitmore Industries had new leadership policies. Minority executives had tripled. New scholarship funds supported students across the city. Victoria Whitmore stood at the podium wearing a plain navy dress. "I publicly humiliated someone based on prejudice," she said. "I will spend the rest of my life making sure that mistake creates change." Liam now used his social media platform to talk about privilege and accountability. Isabella's channel promoted civil rights organizations. Edward Whitmore openly admitted that arrogance nearly destroyed his company. But the most powerful moment came when Avery Harper stepped forward to speak. She looked out across the same marble hall where 200 people once watched her humiliation. Then she said quietly, "That night showed who people are when they think no one important is watching." She paused. "And who they can become when the truth finally appears." The applause that followed was not polite, it was earned.